So is Tony. DiTerlizzi.
DiTerlizzi did
DiTerlizzi. All right,
Yes.
I've seen your name, and a lot of people probably know your name on site, but maybe not in the pronunciation. You are you're the guest of honor. You're the artist guest of honor.
Dun dun dun. How'd that happen?
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Well, steal my question. How'd that happen?
You know, I started out doing illustrations for Dungeons & Dragons in the early 90s when I came out of art school. And, you know, I worked with them for years. I did the Magic the Gathering trading cards, which was sold 5 billion copies. And then I went off and used the knowledge that I kind of gained from creating these fantastic worlds to create my kids' books like the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Exactly. Well, and then you've got this sort of a compilation, you call it, and Realms, and it's fantastic because it's not just like finished works. You show models and things in process.
Yeah.
So did you start like every other kid did at age 12, just drawing things in your imagination and never stopped?
Totally. And the thing is, when I was age 12, that's when like it was cool to play D&D.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
There was like 1 year where there was the nerds were popular, and it opened up. But I mean, I drew all the time. I'd copy pictures out of books, and Dungeons & Dragons opened a lot of. It was kind of a gateway to like Tolkien and a lot of those other mythologies that I love.
Well, based on your approximate age, I mean, when did you start coming up with fantastical creatures? You come up with a creature and then it matches to a story, or do they come to you and say it's got to kind of look like this, but you're free to do some interpretation?
It's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think they want your brain, they want your interpretation. So you know, when I started working with Dungeons & Dragons in the 90s, it had been around obviously for a little while, so I was doing reinterpreting it. Right. When I've gone on to do characters for my children's books, though, it's it's coming out of me. But you're tapping all that stuff you loved as a child. You know, Dr. Seuss, Maurice Sendak, Dungeons & Dragons. Like it's all Jim Henson, George Lucas. It's all in there.
Does your art do you adjust yourself at all based on things that are trending or certain looks? The only example I can think of is like James Bond movies, and you can tell a different decade, or the Bourne movies, that sort of thing. Are there times when things are edgier or a little bit more softer and playful? How's that work for you?
I think that's a great observation. I think the art trends in illustration and a lot of media do change. They ebb and flow with certain style choices that people tend to gravitate towards. And so I've kind of just stayed true to doing my thing. Like it's gotten me this far.
Sure.
So I'm going to hold on to it. But I love old fairy tales, like old Grimm fairy tales, and so my stuff kind of looks old and dirty, and I use a lot of brown and stuff.
Sure.
So I've stuck to that, and so far it's done me good.
Well, I would also imagine that there are people that have their own interpretations of characters, and then they see yours, and it's not one where yours would supplant, but they can see, they can sort of compare and contrast the myths and the monsters and such.
When it comes to gamers, they are very, very astute in what they like and don't like. They're very fickle.
Sure.
I just don't know if that's the right eye color, and I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, but you are going to be doing not just some Q&A, but sort of a workshop, right?
I'm going to do a drawing workshop tomorrow, which I'm real super excited about, and today I'm going to do a presentation kind of about coming out of art school and breaking into illustration as a career.
Wonderful. Do you have some advice? I don't have a 12-year-old at home. I have a 16-year-old daughter who's big into anime and stuff like that. So what advice would you have for her?
Honestly, Tracy, I'm a product. I grew up in South Florida. I went to public schools. I didn't have any special, upbringing. I am a product of being surrounded by parents and teachers who really encouraged my artistic ability. They saw that I had something that I really, really like to do, and they really encouraged it. And I'm really fortunate that way, because you can't really control that when you're a kid.
Sure, exactly.
That's where you're lucky.
So you put it on me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good luck.
We got all the information on IndyStyle.tv. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations for being the guest of honor, guest artist of honor. Amber?